Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय ओम शुभपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्रीमती डिवाइन ग्रेस ऐसी भक्त वेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम शुभपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्रीमती डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्त सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। नमाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। हरे कृष्ण all gurus assembled devotees Hare Krishna all gurus assembled devotees Hare Krishna all gurus assembled devotees Hare Krishna all gurus to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga Hare Krishna Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जायमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। हरे कृष्ण। Hare Krishna. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, entitled Prayers by Queen Kunti, and verse number 23. यथा ऋषिकेश खलेन देवकी कंसेन रुद्धाति चिरं सुचार्पिता विमोचिताहं च सहात्मजा विभो त्वयैव नाथेन मुहुर्विपद्गणात् यथा ऋषिकेश खलेन देवकी कंसेन रुद्धाति चिरं सुचार्पिता विमोचिताहं च सहात्मजा विभो त्वयैव नाथेन मुहुर्विपद्गणात् यथा ऋषिकेश खलेन देवकी कंसेन रुद्धाति चिरं सुचार्पिता विमोचिताहं च सहात्मजा विभो त्वयैव नाथेन मुहुर्विपद्गणात् यथा ऋषिकेश कंसेन रुद्धाति चिरं सुचार्पिता विमोचिताहं च सहात्मजा विभो त्वयैव नाथेन मुहुर्विपद्गणात् कंसेन रुद्धाति चिरं नाथेन मुहुर्विपद्गणात्। Mataji's word to word translation. What? यथा ऋषिकेश खलेन देवकी कंसेन रुद्धाति चिरं सुचार्पिता विमोचिताहं च सहात्मजा विभो त्वयैव नाथेन मुहुर्विपद्गणात्. Word to word translation. Yatha, as it is, as it were, sorry. Rishikesha, the master of the senses. Khalena, by the envious. Devaki, Devaki, the mother of Sri Krishna. Kamsena, by King Kamsa. Ruddha, imprisoned. Atichiram, for a long time. Sucharpita, distressed. Vimochita, released. Aham cha, aham cha, also myself. Saha Atmaja, along with my children. Vibho, O great one. Tvaya, Tvaya eva, by your lordship. Nathena, as the protector. Moho, constantly. Vipadganat, from a series of dangers. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation: O Rishikesh, Master of the senses and Lord of Lords, you have released your mother Devaki, who was long imprisoned and distressed by the envious King Kamsa, and me and my children from a series of constant dangers. Purport: Devaki, the mother of Krishna and sister of King Kamsa, was put into prison along with her husband Vasudeva because the envious king was afraid of being killed by Devaki's eighth son Krishna. He killed all the sons of Devaki who were born before Krishna, but Krishna escaped the danger of child slaughter because he was transferred to the house of Nanda Maharaj, Lord Krishna's foster father. Kunti Devi, along with her children, was also saved from a series of dangers. But Kunti Devi was shown far more favor because Lord Krishna did not save the other children of Devaki, whereas he saved the children of Kunti Devi. This was done because Devaki's husband Vasudev was living, whereas Kunti Devi was a widow, and therefore was none to help her except Krishna. Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maiya ki jai, Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. The conclusion is that Krishna endows more favor to a devotee who is in greater danger. I repeat, the conclusion is that Krishna endows more favor to a devotee who is in greater danger. Sometimes he puts his pure devotees in such dangers because in that condition of helplessness, the devotee becomes attached to the Lord. The more the attachment is there for the Lord, the more the success is there for the devotee. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayi Tadhati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Vishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Nitinamine Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratvishe Namaha Panchatattva-atmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we are happy to be in Bangalore in ICC ISKCON Cultural Center. And Narare Prabhu is really expanding a lot. We are happy to see this wonderful contributions here. And we are very pleased to see the new upcoming temple. so that more devotees get shelter of Krishna consciousness, existing devotees as well as new people get more and more connected to Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. So we are reading from Canto 1, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, which is entitled as Prayers of Queen Kunti. And particularly we are reading from the verse number 23. So this is a series of prayers being offered by Mother Kunti, Queen Kunti. And from the Srimad Bhagavatam perspective, there are so many prayers, but Queen Kunti is the foremost, right in the first canto. Even Bhishmadeva's prayers are the next chapters further. And of course, there are many, many more prayers, Lord Brahma's prayers, and so many demigods offering their prayers, Vritrasura's prayers, very beautiful. But Kunti Devi is in the series of prayers. This is one of the first beginning, and very fine-tuned in her understanding of Krishna. In one sense, she is related to Krishna very directly. She's aunt, Krishna is like nephew. So there is a natural bonding in terms of blood relation. At the same time, Mother Kunti is very well aware of the position of Krishna. She is not treating him like my own nephew. No, she is not treating him as an ordinary person. She is very well aware of the position of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So even in her prayers, just some of your previous, in fact, just the very previous verses, Namaha Pankaja Nabhaya, Namaha Pankaja Maline, Namaha Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankajangraya. So lotus feet is coming at the last of the four things that she's talking about: the Nabhaya, the navel, the lotus navel, the lotus flowers, the garland that Krishna is wearing, and the lotus eyes, and then lotus feet. She is talking about it the last, just so that it doesn't embarrass Krishna. Krishna does not feel embarrassed. It's like our aunt is glorifying me as my lotus feet, so Krishna will feel embarrassed. She is putting it at the end. But Prabhupada very beautifully writes, in a circle, you don't know where things begin and where it ends. It all looks same. So as long as the offering is very complete, all the four lotus aspects are being described. Lotus feet is addressed, but just to avoid embarrassment for Krishna, she's offering this. But she is very well aware of Krishna's position. Just like these personalities come in the category of Vatsalya. Like you have Mother, here we have Mother Kunti. Similarly, there is Mother Devaki, and then similarly there is Mother Yashoda. Now, amongst them, there might be subtle differences. There are, of course, gradations. Just like we talk about gradations amongst devotees. Narad Muni wanted to find out who is the topmost devotee. So no doubt there are gradations amongst devotees, but those gradations we don't need to unnecessarily, complicate our mind and try to judge this is a lower devotee and this is a better devotee. Technically speaking, of course, we can say, Mother Yashoda, is topmost in terms of her devotion, because she did not even have the tinge of awe and reverence. Whereas Mother Devaki, had that awe and reverence, we can see that. And Mother Kunti is also praying. She is very well conscious of the position, grand position of Lord Shri Krishna. But from a sadhaka's perspective, one should not try to judge, okay, Mother Kunti is level 1, Mother Devaki is level 2, and Mother Yashoda is level 3, highest, topmost. So it's not from that discrimination perspective. It is maybe from the knowledge perspective. Yes, there is difference exists, no doubt on that. But nevertheless, Mother Kunti's position is extremely, extremely exalted. See, from a sadhaka's perspective, it's like if we are on a ground floor, 20th floor and 22nd floor and 26th floor does not make much of a difference from the ground floor. When we go further above, if we are on a drone or on the helicopter, then when we see 20th floor and 26th, second and 24th, there are differences. But when we are on the ground floor, everything is above. Let's not get into the complication of discrimination of who is better. Definitely it exists. But Mother Kunti's prayers, as I said, very, very exalted, very the first, one of the first in the series. And her prayers are, particularly Srila Prabhupada used to very often sing the prayers of Queen Kunti in the initial days of New York, while Prabhupada was in the West, when he got an opportunity to start recording, initially got the dictaphone and all. One of the first things he did was record the prayers of Queen Kunti. It's like, in a leisure time, he's wanting to record these prayers. Very, very exalted in stature, and particularly coming to this particular verse, where so we'll discuss 2 3 important words from this particular verse. One is about Khalena and about Rishikesh. This we'll try to discuss. And particularly, this verse talks about Mother Devaki's protection and Mother Kunti's protection. So we will see Krishna's sensitivity towards his devotees, and particularly Mother Devaki, sensitivity towards Devaki, and Krishna's proportionate protection towards Mother Kunti. Krishna protected Devaki also, and Krishna protected Kunti also. But in the purport, Prabhupada says, Krishna protected Kunti. Kunti was shown far more favor than even Mother Devaki, because Kunti was a widow. Pandu had left his body, so the Pandavas were left. It's like they didn't have a father. So Krishna showed far more favor to Kunti than even to his own mother as Devaki. And then Prabhupada, of course, talks about the dangers. When when a person is put in a dangerous position, becomes helpless, and it leads one to attachment towards the Lord, and that, Prabhupada says, is the success. Danger leading towards helplessness, leading towards attachment towards the Lord, and that Srila Prabhupada terms as success of life. So this is what we'll try to see in today's particular verse. So the verses, the words used here, Yatha Rishikesha Khalena Devaki, Kamsena Ruddhati Chiram Sucharapita. So Kamsa had imprisoned Mother Devaki and Vasudev, his own sister. Kamsa has imprisoned. And Prabhupada uses the word Khalena as jealousy or envious. How unfortunate is just a stay in the material world, that person has this quality, we can say, not a good quality, but it's the exhibition of envy and jealousy. Khalena, Prabhupada is describing envious or jealous Kamsa. Like it is described about a crab. Crabs, if you put in a basket, one crab is trying to escape the basket, other crabs are trying to pull him out, pull him down. So when a person is carrying the crabs in the basket, there is no need of a lid. You don't need to cover them. Open prison house. There's one lecture Maharaj gave. It's entitled as Prison House Without Walls. Prison house without walls, and that is for us. So material world, prison house, it's without walls. Who is not escaping? If we have a desire, Krishna has already given a process of devotional service. But unfortunately, we are putting shackles on ourselves. No doubt there is Prakrite Kriyamanani Gunai Karmani Sarvash. No doubt there is 3 modes of material nature. But most of the time, as Ashtavakra Muni explained, it is we who are embracing Maya, not that Maya is trying to come and catch us. It is we who are voluntarily trying to embrace the illusory energy. It's not that Maya is after us. No doubt Maya's task is there, but unfortunately the living entity voluntarily submits, as Prabhupada says, sleeping peacefully in the lap of the witch of Maya. And the conditioned soul feels very safe, unfortunately. Unless person is turned towards Krishna consciousness, unless a person gets and understanding of the spiritual life, of the importance of spiritual life, then a person comes to the senses and understands that, rather than taking shelter of a witch, I have to take shelter of the mother, Mother Srimati Radharani. So unfortunately, the direction has to be changed. But Prabhupada says about this, about the nature of enviousness, dharma projita kaitavatra parmo nirmatsaranam satam, nirmatsar, somebody who is non-envious. Right in the second verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, this description is there. So for those who are I mean, to have this tendency of non-enviousness, it's actually a quality of a pure devotee. Even in the Nectar of Instruction verse, where Krishna Yasagirita Manasadriyata, Dikshasti Chet Pranadavis Cha Bhajantamisham, where for a new person, one can offer mental obeisances. But for those who have accepted initiation, Dikshasti Chet Pranadavis Cha Bhajantamisham, one should, there are etiquettes to be followed for offer obeisances physically, etiquettes to be followed. But eventually, those who are on this, particularly on this, those who are on the stage where of pure devotion, for them one has to constantly worship. Why the quality used is because they have this quality of non-enviousness. It is this quality which is worshipable in a pure devotee, non-enviousness. They are able to see all the living entities as part and parcel of the Lord. They are able to see all the living entities connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and want to distribute their mercy equally. Of course, wherever we talk about discrimination is proportionate discrimination, just like even how Krishna is offering proportionate protection. So that way there is proportionate compassion, sometimes shown, but there is no restriction of showing compassion. Just like when devotees go for book distribution, we don't choose, I will give to this person, I will not give to this person. We are open for all. The mercy has to be distributed for all. But nevertheless, Krishna is talking about also a proportionate protection here. So from the envy perspective, Prabhupada gives a sort of a litmus test. He says, how to identify we are in this material world. How to identify we are in this material world. He says we have to check whether we have envy or jealousy as a litmus test. If we have this, it is stamped. It is stamped that we are in the material world. And next, Prabhupada talks about Rishikesh as the master of senses. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. That is, bhakti is, one of the definitions of bhakti is described as Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam. That with our senses, when we serve the real master of the senses, that is considered as bhakti. A very simple definition of bhakti. Of course, there are Anya Vilashita Shunyam, there are other definitions, but one definition, particularly Narada Pancharatra, explains Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam. The senses have to be engaged in the service of the real master of the senses. And when one does that, there is complete satisfaction that a living entity experiences. So Prabhupada, in this regard, he explains, he explains that generally the conditioned souls, exhibit the senses for sense gratification. Generally, the conditioned souls utilize the senses for satisfying own self, whether it is any food stuff that we see or whether it is some comforts that we are trying to experience. Aham comes first, and mameti is later. Those who are very, very gross, they think only about aham. They think only about I. And that is what we call as selfishness. If a person is a little more broad-minded, he thinks of mameti. He thinks of mine also. Okay, I don't have to satisfy only myself, but I have to satisfy. I may be in a position to I may be in a I may have some jurisdiction to satisfy, a little larger radius zone. So it can be a family, it can be a community, it can be a nation, and the zone expands depending on how selfless one wants to be. But selfish means only centered around oneself, not able to see anybody around. We feel that we are supposed to be the center of the universe. But when the selflessness, that broad-mindedness expands, then from I, it expands to mine, and that my radius expands. So Prabhupada is saying, Krishna is so merciful that he allows us to utilize our senses the way we want. He allows us to utilize our senses the way we want. It's yesterday we were discussing, this is basically like, it's a sponsored program, Krishna's sponsored program. Our stay in the material world, just like in a company, we can get, somebody may get a leave travel allowance. You can go for 1 week, you can go for a vacation, and your stay, your food is taken care by the company that you're working. Similarly, when we are coming to this material world, there is so much arrangements are required, sunlight, water, and just some gross things that we can look around. And other than that, whatever facilities one requires, we can understand it is a sponsored program. Krishna is facilitating our independent desire. Like sometimes for a child, sometimes parents can just slap and say, just shut up. Or there are other ways where the parent can say, okay, let me teach the child other way rather than just slapping. Let me make him or her understand. So Krishna is, for the independence that the living entity shows, exhibits, Krishna sends us to this material world, and Krishna sponsors that program. That means what? Just like the parent knows the child may misuse, but still the money has to come from parent only. So parent sometimes gives, sometimes reluctantly. Yes, okay, take this. Right. So here it is a sponsored program. So Prabhupada says Krishna allows the living entity to use the senses the way he or she wants. But eventually one will become exasperated when the senses are used as, or we can say abused. Abuse means overusage, right? Senses are abused, then one becomes exasperated to the stage of becoming senseless, or it calls as desensitized, senseless or desensitized. Sometimes, particularly in the modern times, youths, once you have a gadget in your hand, you just are not aware of people around. You don't even feel hungry. It appears you are transcended the three modes of material nature. Once you have a gadget in your hand, and sometimes people overcome sleep also. You forget food, and you forget to sleep. Whole night one can just stay awake, and not just awake, excited, over the gadget. So Prabhupada is saying when one overuse of the senses, one gets exasperated or senseless or desensitized. And that's where one actually loses sensitivity. You find people people are more comfortable dealing with things than people. People are more comfortable dealing with things than people, because things don't give feedback and things can be controlled. You can, with a button, you can start and stop, but people don't have a button. After our Zoom calls, almost 2 years of Corona period, sometimes people wonder if we can have a mute button for people also. So it's very unfortunate that people become desensitized or practically the sense lost, because we are more and more accustomed to dealing with things. So people unfortunately love things and use people. As I'm talking material circles, I'm talking the tendency to exploit. But what we are supposed to do is use the things and love people. But dealing with people becomes difficult, particularly for children who are born in Corona period, or even for people who have gone through this period, after some time, people are like, what to talk? Hmm? You have some hi, hello, then maybe how is the weather, 2, 3 sentences. After that, people sometimes wonder how to further take the conversation forward. People become desensitized. So we can learn from Krishna how he is exhibiting sensitivity. So we're going to discuss about Devaki's protection and Mother Kunti's protection. So for Devaki, we'll see about how Krishna exhibited extreme sensitivity. One, he protected her, and after releasing her from the prison, how Krishna is exhibiting sensitive dealings with his own mother. So this is what we can try to see Krishna's sensitivity, particularly towards Mother Devaki. It is described that when Krishna, of course, Kamsa used to send so many demons in Vrindavan, and Krishna would be killing them one by one. Putana, Trinavarat, Bakasur, Aghasur, so many came. Eventually, the final round, when Krishna enters Mathura, that time also he had to face. Initially, there was Kovalyapid, elephant was there who was sort of scheduled to trample him. Krishna definitely easily defeated. Krishna and Balram were there. Then they had to face Chanur and Mustik, the wrestling match. And the final bout was with Kamsa. And Krishna practically dragged Kamsa from his throne. Because it's like match is in the center and the audience is spread across. So and those times there were no screen display. So from far off, when people are seeing what's happening there, sometimes it's not very clearly visible. People, even those who are watching a cricket match from the stadium, it's more easily seen on the screen rather than on the actual what is live, what is happening. So Krishna graphically, to show his parents, give them the solace, is dragging Kamsa from his throne, gets him to that wrestling arena, and practically pounds on him and is killing Kamsa. But you see now how he behaves now, how after killing Kamsa, Krishna is going and solacing his aunts, Kamsa's wife. Krishna is going and solacing, like speaking some sweet words, or it's okay. He only has killed, and then he's going and solacing Kamsa's wives because they happen to be his aunts. And then it is described Krishna personally performs the last rites for the killing of Kamsa. He only killed, but after that he's sensitive enough to perform the last rites. Basically, he was supervising the last rites of Kamsa. After that, the first thing he does is release Mother Devaki and Vasudeva. Release them from the prison. After releasing them from the prison, he offers them obeisances. Sashtang Namaskar, Krishna and Balaram both, as now they are still young boys, they are offering obeisances. And then they start offering prayers to Mother Devaki and Vasudeva, their parents. They start offering prayers. So Mother Devaki and Vasudeva, they are in awe and reverence, looking at Krishna and Balaram, because for them, they are what they are able to relate is, of course, they understand they are our children, but what they are able to relate is, oh, he's the supreme personality of Godhead. Very first time when he appeared in the jail, we saw his Shankar Chakra Gada Padma, we saw his 400 form. And if these personalities are offering me obeisances, again they were embarrassed, looking at Krishna and Balaram offering them obeisances and offering them prayers. So immediately Krishna utilizes his Yogamaya potency in order to make them forget that awe and reverence. And then Krishna starts glorifying. Krishna starts speaking very sensitively to Mother Devaki. And what is that sensitivity? Krishna is in his prayers. Krishna is speaking that you have undergone so much of sufferings, because you are anxious for our protection. Right from when they were put in the jail, before they were put in the jail, Devaki knew that the children that I'm going to bear, ultimately, unfortunately, Kamsa will, come and kill them. Right? How a mother would feel, when her child is killed right in front of her. No mother will be able to tolerate that. But Devaki had to go through. And that's why Krishna is saying particularly, you were so anxious for our protection. So when Krishna appeared in the prison house of Kamsa, even when there was a four-handed form, the motherly heart did not accept, did not, was not convinced that Kamsa cannot kill him. The heart of the mother was, I mean, there is no logic. That's why it is said love is beyond logic. There's no explanation on this. The mother just feels so much overwhelming protection. She's so anxious. Oh, even if Krishna has showed the four-handed form, she's saying Kamsa will come and kill you. No, it's that heart. So Krishna is basically offering his prayer, saying, "You are so anxious, continuously anxious for our protection." Even after showing that 400 form, then I changed into the baby form. After that also, you said, no, transfer. I mean, I was transferred immediately to Gokul Mahavan. So you could not experience any Vatsalyata with us. You did not get to see our childhood pastimes. There's two specific things Krishna is trying to talk about. One is you are so anxious about our protection, and in that anxiety, you are constantly suffering. You were constantly suffering. And particularly, you did not see or experience our childhood pastimes. Any parent loves to see the children growing, and particularly the first initial years, maybe at least the first 5 years, are very pleasurable. And after that, it's a life of responsibility. It's to see the bud, it's like a seed bud blossoming into a flower. So it's how parents may raise their children. But Krishna is particularly saying, you did not experience the childhood pastimes. And Prabhupada says, indirectly, Krishna is praising Nanda and Yashoda more than Devaki, because Nanda and Yashoda were more fortunate to be able to witness the childhood pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna. Unfortunately, Devaki and Vasudeva did not get that opportunity. But Krishna is aware. See, what we are trying to highlight is Krishna is aware of that, and at the right opportune moment, Krishna is relaying that. At an appropriate moment, he is talking from a sensitive perspective. So he says a man has so much debts towards his parents. I mean, a child has so much debt one owes towards the parents for the body that one has received. In Krishna's case, it may not be exactly verbatim, because Krishna appears initially in the heart of Vasudeva, then transfers into Devaki's womb, and then again appears. But still, Krishna is saying a man is indebted, owes a lot to his parents for the body that he receives. And particularly, someone who does not take care of the parents, someone who basically mistreats the parents, Krishna is saying they enter into the hellish planets and they are made to eat their own flesh. They enter into hellish planets made to eat their own flesh. And then Krishna says something more amazing. Krishna says, please forgive us. No, we have wasted so much of our time. Was transferred. Krishna's instruction only, Krishna got transferred to Gokul Mahavan. Vasudeva was told, please transfer to him there. And now, after so much episodes, after killing so many demons and finally killing Kamsa, Krishna is saying we have wasted so much of our time. Looks like Krishna also does time pass. Now, Krishna is speaking like this. But why he is speaking like this? To give solace. In fact, Krishna says, Kalos me. Time I am. How can Krishna waste time? not possible technically, logically. But Krishna is speaking like this to give solace that I could not attend to you. And then Krishna says, for things which are beyond control, things which are things which were beyond control, we couldn't do anything. Krishna, who is Swarat, everything is under his control, and Krishna is telling his mother, for things which were beyond our control, it was not possible for us to come and visit you. For so many years you were imprisoned, and finally Krishna says that please forgive us for our sinful action, that we could not spend the time, our childhood time with you, and you have been imprisoned by your own brother, and we could not do anything about it up till now. So Krishna is begging humbly from his parents, saying that please excuse us for our sinful action. So this is a sensitive dealings. It's not that, uh, from one perspective, it is not that Krishna actually wanted to be here, and he could have done so many arrangements. But some things which are beyond control, even if it is for Draupadi, when Asat Sabha, when Draupadi was about to be disrobed, at that time, when later on when Krishna comes, at that time Krishna speaks words of solace. Krishna says, unfortunately, I was not here. I was at a different place. Of course, Krishna comes and provides the cloth. Krishna comes and internally provides that support. On a physical ground, Krishna, when later on meets Draupadi, he says, unfortunately, I was not here. Otherwise, I would not have allowed the gambling match to take place. The speaking sensitive words gives solace to the person, particularly to the devotees here, speaking about Mother Devaki. Even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if we can try to relate this, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after taking sannyas, he was like so focused in terms of taking sannyas. Right? I want to go take sannyas, and I want to go. The first thing he wanted to do was go to Vrindavan. From Katwa, after taking sannyas, the first immediately wanted to rush towards Vrindavan, and eventually being tricked by Lord Nityananda, he was sort of detour was taken, and he eventually came to Shantipur, where where he met Advaita Acharya, and eventually Mother Sachi came to the house of Advaita Acharya to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So after sannyas, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu meets Sachi Mata, he says, again, he offers prostrated obeisances. Sannyasi is not, it's not obligatory for him, but he offers prostrated obeisances to his mother. And as of course his mother caresses his body, and she's motherly affection, she's showering, and Mother Sachi says, don't don't be like your elder brother Vishwarup. No, after he took sannyas, I could not even see him. I could not, we don't even know where he was. No, don't be so cruel like your elder brother Vishwarup. And Mahaprabhu is hearing, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is hearing from his mother, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, I think I committed a mistake of taking sannyas. No? Please forgive me. You can order, no, whatever you order, I will do. If you want, I will stay back. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is speaking like this to Mother Sachi. Would he really have stayed back? No, Mother Sachi would not have said that. That was the confidence he had. But the sensitivity in terms of the dealings, he's saying, you can decide what you want and you can order me. I will do as you say. But some moments before, some days before, you just left the house when Mother Sachi was, you see, it is described that she was motionless. The only motion in her body was the flow of tears. Everything else was still when he just left. But after coming, you see how sensitively he's dealing. He says, I will do as you say. You can decide. And of course, and it's not that he didn't mean. That's why when Mother Sachi requested, I could not even see I could not even see your, Vishwaroop after he took sannyas. That's why Sachimata requests, if you can be at Jagannath Puri, I will be at least able to see you. So did Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu simply do whimsically whatever he wanted? He had some determination, he had some focus, he did that, but he also was sensitively dealing with his mother, and eventually he accepted his mother's orders or whatever instruction or suggestions. How much he longed to go to Vrindavan. He really sacrificed that. It was like, it's like as soon as there is a first opportunity, he was like rushing towards Vrindavan. And there were times when he was about to go to Vrindavan and came back halfway. How much he longed to go to Vrindavan. But on his mother's instructions, he followed that. So what he could not do on his own self, he tried to accomplish that through the Goswamis. And that's what he used to tell Sanatan Goswami, your body is my property. I have so many things to accomplish in Vrindavan, and if you are, trying to attempt suicide, how is that not acceptable? So Lord Chaitanya Maharaj had to accomplish so many things. He had to do himself, but because of his mother's suggestion or instruction, he agreed to stay in Jagannath Puri. But he exercised, whatever he wanted to accomplish through the Shada Goswamis. So that was his great sensitivity. Eventually, Krishna not only just met Vasudeva and Devaki, Krishna also meets Nanda and Yashoda. Hmm. Again, it's a sensitive dealing. You are like, getting transferred from one set of parents to another set of parents. Then now that Krishna Balram knows that our real parents are Nanda and Yashoda, Devaki and Vasudeva, and now how to talk to Nanda Maharaja and Yashoda. It's a great intense moments. Will Vrajavasis anyone accept that, okay, you stay here, and we will see you some other time? Krishna, of course, he says, I will come soon. So that's a very ambiguous statement. I will come soon. Our time, Brahma's time. There's a lot of ambiguity is there. And Krishna says that, and the Vrajavasis, what else they can do? Krishna says, I have to wind up a lot of things here. Otherwise, there are many other demons who will be attacking Vrindavan. So I have to attend to a lot of things here, and then I will come soon. Eventually, the first opportunity that Vasudeva and Devaki get, because this is the first time they are seeing their children growing up, so they immediately go to Gargamuni, have some ceremonies, thread ceremonies there. Eventually, Sandipani Muni, they are sent to the ashram of Sandipani Muni, where they learn 64 arts. The one who is the knower of opulence, one who has knowledge in full, is also learning 64 arts in the ashram. And eventually, Sandipani Muni, or particularly wife, asks Krishna from a Guru Dakshina perspective, if you can get my dead son, if I can see him back. So for Krishna, there is no difficult task at all. It's like, I don't want to give a comparison. It's anything is so easy for Krishna. So Krishna goes even up to Yamulok in order to get the child. And eventually, at later time, when Mother Devaki gets to hear about this, so her motherly feelings also, arise. Her motherly feelings also come up to the surface, and she is constantly remembering my 6 children. As soon as they came out, unfortunately, Kamsa just grabbed and killed them right in front of me. So, mother, as a motherly heart, affectionate heart, she is requesting Krishna, if you can get the son of your spiritual master, can you also get 6 of my sons or 6 of your brothers? Can you get them? And again, for Krishna and Balaram, it's not a big task. So they do that. So it is basically described that these 6 Shadagarbhas, it is described that they were in the series of births that the Shadagarbhas had. It is described they were sons of Marichi, and they saw Brahma, who was apparently running after his own daughter. After creating his daughter, Brahma is running after his own daughter. And when the 6 sons of Marichi, when they see this sight, they started laughing. And Brahma gave benediction or curse in terms of further lifetimes. It is described that one place describes it as sons, and some other place it describes grandsons of Hiranyakashipu. Grandson looks more appropriate, probably. The next life is grandsons of Hiranyakashipu. And these, as a grandsons, they perform tapasya again to please Lord Brahma, and they ask benediction, just like khun mein hai na, it's there in their blood. Hiranyakashipu asked benedictions. I don't want to die inside the palace, outside the palace. Don't want to be killed by so many permutation combinations that he asked. So the grandsons of Hiranyakashipu, they again pray to Lord Brahma of perform penance, and they ask, we don't want to be killed by any demigods, any human beings, and again a further list of things. So Hiranyakashipu got very offended. How dare you ask that you don't want to be killed by demigods? You don't want to be killed by human beings? It's below dignity to ask for such a kind of benediction. And another reason for his annoyance, why did you approach Brahma when I am here? Hiranyakashipu is annoyed. Why did you approach Lord Brahma? So Hiranyakashipu curses his own grandsons, saying that your father will become Kamsa in the next life, and you will be killed by your father itself. By Kamsa, your father who will take the role of Kamsa, you will be killed by him in your next life. So that is how they are in the next life. They come as sons of Devaki, and Kamsa, takes the opportunity, and he feels one of them can be Krishna, my own Kal, and he takes that opportunity to kill them. So one of this Shadagarbha, the 6 children, the first son was named as Smara, in the first life, and then eventually towards the last, that is as Devaki's son, the first son, Devaki and Vasudev, they name as Kirtiman. His fame will expand, Kirtiman. But unfortunately, with the very first day, he is unfortunately killed by his own mother's brother. That's unfortunate thing that happened. But the way Krishna exhibited his sensitivity, first is he offered protection. He released Devaki and Vasudev from the prison, offered them obeisances, offered prayers, offered solacing words, particularly very sensitive dealings with his mother. And further, also when his mother expressed the desire to get the sons back, Krishna performed that feat. And then Prabhupada is saying, Krishna showed more favor to Mother Kunti as compared to Mother Devaki. And Prabhupada goes on to say, this is a beautiful statement. Prabhupada is saying, Devaki was once put in difficulty by her envious brother. Devaki was once put in difficulty. And we can understand how much difficulty she went through, but overall, she went through it once, because before the marriage, Kamsa was very favorable towards Devaki. It was a very loving relation that he had with Devaki. It was only the once that Akashvani was announced, Krishna, the 8th son of Devaki, the cause of death. That is the time when Kamsa got very annoyed and really was about to kill Devaki. So, and then of course, what she went through was being imprisoned along with Vasudev, and to see further the 6 children being killed. But Prabhupada is saying, Devaki was once put in difficulty by her envious brother. Otherwise, she was well. Because after Krishna and Balaram again released them from the prison, after Kamsa was killed, then life was appropriately normal. Otherwise, she was well. But Kunti and her sons were put into one difficulty after another's, and for years and years together. Is this convincing? Yes, Devaki was put into difficulty. Of course, that one difficulty also was huge, like it is described. We really don't know what it means to invite Krishna, what it means to celebrate Janmashtami. For us, it's a celebration. Of course, it's a grand celebration. We want to invite people to introduce them to Krishna consciousness. But the very first person who celebrated Janmashtami in terms of the first appearance of Krishna, what a devotee has to go through to invite the Lord in this material world. How much tapasya they underwent in the previous lives? 12,000 years of tapasya. 12,000 years of tapasya, like Dhruva Maharaj. Literally fully austere life, performing penance. What it takes to invite Krishna in this material world. And Prabhupada goes on to say further, even if one happens to be the mother of Krishna, because you're in this material world, you are put in difficulties. How many of us can, after reading this statement, how many of us can go and ask Krishna, why there is difficulty in my life? Prabhupada is saying, even the mother of Krishna had to undergo difficulties because this is material world. Dukkhalayam asashvatam. No one is spared. Even the mother of Krishna was not spared. But Prabhupada is very clearly showing in terms of why more favor, because Devaki was put into difficulty once. Definitely that quantity enormous, the difficulty that she went through. But at the same time, Mother Kunti was put into one difficulty after another. One difficulty after another for years and years together. Practically almost whole life. And the beauty is, Mother Kunti is still going to pray for calamities. That's even more surprising from a conditioned soul's perspective. The next verse talks about the difficulties that she underwent. So I'm not going to elaborate on that, but just to mention, the very next verse talks about the difficulties that Mother Kunti went through. And she highlights the dangerous encounters that they had to undergo, right from the poisoned cake, Vishan Mahagne, Vishan, the poisoned cake that Bhima was offered. Of course, eventually he was benedicted by the strength of 10,000 elephants, but then he was poisoned. For 10 days he was missing. Mother Kunti and the brothers, the Pandavas, they were all very anxious, very worried of where is Bhima. And they all, they were already understanding that he was, the last we saw was he was with Duryodhan and Dushasan. And they tried to figure out what must have happened. How much anxiety they went through. Vishan, Mahagne, fire, when they were in that house of lack, as they said, the whole house was set on fire. Based on Vidura's intervention, based on Vidura's intelligence, he conveyed accordingly to the Pandavas, to particularly Yudhishthira Maharaj. Eventually they left from there. Then they went to this Asat Sabha. How much turmoil a queen can go through. Queen Kunti, she's not an ordinary lady. To see her own, daughter-in-law, right? To see her own daughter-in-law going through this phase of Asat Sabha, about to be stripped naked in an assembly where even great personalities like Bhishma and Drona are sitting. In that assembly, to tolerate, to see all this, to witness all this, they must have actually gone through. So it's a very, very terrible time. And one difficulty after another, the poisoned cake, the fire, and of course, Bhima also went through eventually getting married to Hidimba. Before that, he had to kill a Rakshasa, right? The cannibals and this Asat Sabha. And then there was this exile. They had this rightful heir. They were the rightful heir to the kingdom. In the modern times, people even fight for one flat one apartment, parent has two sons, and sometimes there is fight amongst the brothers for just one apartment. Here they are talking about kingdom. They are actually rightful claims of the king, or for the kingdom, and they were like sort of snatched from them, and here they are just about to send to, on top of losing the kingdom, they are even sent to exile, Vanvas. And what to speak of the war, like it's described like an ocean. There are small fishes, there are big fishes, there are sharks, there are timingalas. Bhishma and Drona are compared like timingalas, whale, huge. You can just gulp down. One day he can kill 10,000 soldiers. That was their caliber. So the Pandavas had to deal with fighting against such kind of warriors. They had only 7 Akshayoni soldiers, whereas the Kauravas had 11 Akshayoni soldiers. From the number perspective, they had much more. And to speak of Bhishma on their side, who had Ichha Mrityu, so much is the weightage, and to have their own preceptor, Dronacharya on the other side. Of course, the greatest benediction was to have Krishna on the side of Pandavas. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partha Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shrir, Vijayo, Bhutir, Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. Wherever there is Krishna, wherever there is Arjuna, victory is surely guaranteed. So that was definitely a great benediction. But they had to go through that 18 days of that war period. Every day, both parties had to cry for someone or other. Every day there was so much, and towards the end of the war, Yudhishthira Maharaj is feeling remorse. I am responsible for all the massacre that has happened. How much they underwent, and after the war, it did not end. It did not end. In fact, Mother Kunti, in the series of prayers now that she's speaking, she's actually going to request Krishna to stay further. Why? Because we have killed so many kings in the war. Their sons and grandsons will again come and attack. So please stay back. That is how Kunti is praying. So it's war did not indicate end. War indicated there will be further, just like when Kartavirya Arjuna, who had 1,000 arms, when he was killed by Parashuram, eventually what happened? Their sons came and attacked Parashuram's father, Jamadagni. So war does not bring an end. After that, there are further their lineage, parampara. People want to continue to have that revengeful attitude. So Mother Kunti is praying that please don't consider this is the end. The sons and grandsons of the kings, those whom we have already killed in the battle, they are going to attack. So we need you. How much Kunti is eager to take shelter of Krishna. That even if there is calamity, in fact, she is welcoming calamity. That's again, you will see in the series of prayer. She is welcoming calamity so that we will have your presence with us. And finally, the last, which was very, very difficult for any of the Pandavas to bear, was the attack on Mother Uttara. Abhimanyu, this Ashwathama sending a Brahmastra towards Uttara, and the last opportunity, the last hair, as we say, Parikshit Maharaj, at least even Duryodhan actually felt remorse when he heard what a heinous act Ashwathama has done. He, no doubt, I had so much envy against the Pandavas, but even Duryodhan feels I had nothing against. At least let their son rule. At least I'm leaving. So when Duryodhan was leaving, it's like it's not my jurisdiction. Anybody can be there. Even Duryodhan felt very remorseful when he heard Ashwathama has attacked. He has released the Brahmastra. That was the character. So this was a very painful thing for the Pandavas, including even from the Kaurava side, even Duryodhan. So what kind of calamities they have gone through. So Prabhupada, I'll just conclude with this. Prabhupada is saying this, Krishna was anxious to know about the sons of Pandu as they lost their father at a young age. That's why he showed more favor to Kunti as compared to Devaki. Devaki still had her husband, but Kunti is now a widow. So Krishna was showing more favor. As part of that, what Krishna did was he sent Akrura. He sent Akrura to Hastinapur. And he said, you study the situation. Akrura is in the assembly of Kamsa. Of course, he's a pure devotee. And being in the administration, he knows, how people are being dealt with. He understands politics. He understands diplomacy. He understands if somebody is exploiting. Right? So Akrura was sent all the way to Hastinapur to study the situation and to personally meet Mother Kunti and see, it's like right from the horse's mouth, as they say, right from the person, you sit and discuss with her to see how much she is being tortured. Because Krishna says, I know the evil-minded Dhritarashtra, is discriminates between his own sons and the sons of Pandu. And particularly, now that Pandu is no more, Kunti and the young sons, are under the care of Dhritarashtra. So Krishna is saying, I am very well aware of the situation, but I still want you to go and study so that we get a better understanding of the situation. Based on your report, Krishna uses these words. Based on your report that you come and give me, what you study, based on that, I will show favor to the Pandavas. Means how much favor has to be given. Based on that, do I need to come immediately, or I can have some delay, or I have to send some army? Based on, it's like Krishna is saying, based on that, I will decide how much favor to be shown to the Pandavas. So Krishna was actually more anxious to protect Mother Kunti and the Pandavas more than even his own mother as Devaki. This is Krishna's magnanimity. So that's why Prabhupada says, when there is danger, there is helplessness, and that helplessness leads one towards attachment of the Lord, and that is considered as success. Success is one's life. So Krishna is very delicately, sensitively dealing with Mother Devaki and showing proportionate protection or extra protection, far more favor to Mother Kunti as compared to Mother Devaki. No doubt he protected both, but Kunti was shown far more favor. So these ending words of danger, this is what we can understand as obstacles can be opportunities. When there are dangers, eventually it leads to helplessness. But a conditioned soul, when the danger comes, there are different ways in which a living entity responds. Sometimes in a very aggressive way, one criticizes. If it's a little less, at least he complains. If one doesn't have much jurisdiction, at least one cribs. Criticizing is very far. That means, or we begin with other way around. First is we crib. Why like this? Why in my life? So many others are there. Immediately there is cribbing. And if we are having a little more strength and jurisdiction and influence, one goes and complains. And if there is more, or if sometimes there is not much jurisdiction, but people take further step in terms of criticizing. This is how a conditioned soul behaves. Danger apparently leads to that helplessness, but people respond differently, either crib or complain or criticize. But this danger, which if we see it even from the laws of nature perspective, whatever one gets in life, it's like Tateyanu Kambam Susamikshmano, Punjana Eva Atmakritam Vipakam. Eventually, one actually undergoes what one is due. Karma, there is never a wrong number. It's like what each one is getting is what one is due for. Right? So, when one gets danger as part of karma, it leads towards helplessness. But some people, unfortunate conditioned soul, chooses to crib or complain or criticize, and that will be considered failure, because we had some opportunity, we had some obstacle which we did not cash in like opportunity. The obstacle was used to completely demoralize oneself. When one cribs, does one feel enthusiastic? When one complains, do we feel inspired? When one criticizes, do we feel energized? So with all that danger which came as part of our own karma, one actually gets demoralized and unfortunately spreads that negative vibration around. Each of us have certain radius. Some people have, 1 meter radius. Some people have 10-meter radius. Each we carry it, those vibrations are spread. And sometimes, as it is described in the scriptures, Krishna implants dangers in the devotees' lives, which is not part of, probably not part of the karma. If it is part of the karma, devotee is utilizing that to like reducing the karma also and simultaneously surrendering to Krishna also. But sometimes Krishna plants dangers. Of course, this is not for new devotees. Somebody is new, we don't have to feel afraid, because Krishna is not going to implant for new devotees, because that is, Krishna leaves it in the hands of material nature, outsourced. It's leaving to the hands of material nature to handle. But when Krishna personally implants dangers, such caliber of devotees like Mother Kunti here, that danger leads one to helplessness, and that helplessness leads one to more attachment towards the Lord. Otherwise, why Mother Kunti is praying, let those calamities come again and again? Who can have the heart of even repeating this prayer? It takes some courage, it takes some level of realization to talk about these prayers, to understand this. Let there be more calamities, because she was seeing opportunity. What is opportunity? When there is calamity, Krishna will be with us. Why Krishna is with them? Why Krishna chooses to be with them? Because of their devotion. Krishna actually showed more favor to Kunti as compared to Devaki. Devotees, Kunti was aware of this, and she feels Krishna is present, then where is the danger? It's like for a child, when he has his father with him, he doesn't even fear Mike Tyson. Although the child doesn't know, Mike Tyson can make chutney of the father also. This is material circle. But the child has that confidence. In the spiritual circles, our father is Krishna, right? Seed giving father, Krishna, and nobody can defeat Lord Shri Krishna. And here it's a true ego, with true ego, feeling that pride of being a servant of the Lord. When one understands, when we are in the protection of Krishna, which Kunti Maharani has, says, when you are here, Bhavata Darshanam Yatsyat, Apunar Bhava Darshanam. If we are seeing you, there is no chance of rebirth. We don't see danger, because we are only seeing you. Like Gaurang Prabhu used to say that obstacle is what you see when we lose focus of the goal. Obstacle is what we see when we lose focus of the goal. So Mother Kunti is praying, when you are present, we don't even feel the presence of the obstacle. And that's why she is going to pray further, let there be more calamities. It's a great heart that she has, and it's a great awe and reverence as well as affection simultaneously. So it's a mixed feeling, awe and reverence while having simultaneously affection for the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Hare Krishna. So today we saw the specific expansion of the words of Khalena, being envious, as well as we discussed about Rishikesh as master of the senses. And then we saw Krishna's sensitive dealings towards his mother Devaki. While he offered them protection, he dealt with them very, very sensitively. And similarly, Krishna offered proportionate protection, or rather more protection to Mother Kunti as even compared to Mother Devaki. And finally, the last, which we discussed as danger leads one towards helplessness, conditioned stage, it is crib or complain or criticize. In a more spiritual circle, the helplessness leads one towards attachment to the lotus feet of the Lord and the devotees, and that is considered as success. Hare Krishna. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
The Lord's pastimes, but one particular point I disagree with you. Maybe my opinion. I could be wrong. You gave the understanding of Krishna being more partial or better disposed towards Kunti vis-a-vis Devaki. I beg to differ with you on this point. From the mother's perspective, if you see, Devaki lost 6 children before she could give rise to Balaram and Krishna. Kunti Maharani did not go through this kind of tribulations. For a mother, the loss of her child is very, very painful, and that was 6 times.
Agreed.
And one of the Puranas goes on to explain that why her womb was cleansed 6 times before Balaram and Krishna were implanted in a womb. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya had to be eradicated from a womb much before Krishna and Balaram were born. How do you substantiate the statement of Krishna being more partial towards Kunti compared to Devaki on this count?
Yeah, because this statement is given right in the purport by Srila Prabhupada. So I am not making my statement.
I'm asking your opinion.
So about the opinion, this is definitely true, and that's why when I spoke about Mother Devaki, this was not from the perspective that she did not undergo difficulty. We discussed about the Shadagarbhas. We discussed about the 6 children being killed, for what it takes for a mother to see her own child being killed. And we also discussed, because the material world is so, what do you call, stringent laws of material nature. The place is so intense that even the mother of Krishna is not spared. She is also put in difficulty. So definitely, when we speak about Janmashtami, we also discussed on this very briefly, that what it means to invite Krishna, what Mother Devaki went through, including, of course, Devaki and Vasudeva went through. So no doubt on the difficulties that they went through. But when Prabhupada wants to highlight, there are different perspectives. So Prabhupada here, particularly in this section, this is Mother Kunti's section. So here Prabhupada is highlighting Kunti's perspective. From how Krishna showed more favor, Kunti's highlight more here. Like, I'll give 2 examples. One is, like, for example, Prahlad Maharaj section. Prahlad Maharaj is offering prayers to Lord Narasimhadev. So before Prahlad was invited, Brahma was asked. Brahma said, looking at the Ugra Roop of Narasimhadev, like, I am not ready. Eventually the other demigods, Rudra, Chandra, whatever. And eventually Mother Lakshmi was also invited. And Mother Lakshmi said, I am usually with him, but this particular form, I am not so comfortable with. And she also apparently took a back seat. And Prahlad was made to come in the forefront. This is Narasimhadev section. Prahlad is, in one sense, the word used, like, hero. He is the role model or the hero here. So he was highlighted there. It's not that Lakshmi did not have a relation with Narasimhadev, or she was like afraid really. But there he was to be focused more. So another perspective is, like, this is to see from different angles. So it is not to undermine Devaki's difficulties, but to highlight Kunti's, that she was a widow, and particularly because we are in the section of the series of prayers of Kunti, Prabhupada is highlighting this. Like, if we see Prabhupada talking about Arjuna, one place Prabhupada says, I mean, some purports and descriptions when we see, sometimes, of course, even Krishna uses that word. I mean, Klaibya Masmagama Partha, give up your impudence. I mean, give up this impurity. Where did this impurity come in your, like, all that? One place he talks like this, this is not acceptable for a Kshatriya. And other place Prabhupada writes, this is the heart, this is a Vaishnava's heart. A Vaishnava's heart is filled with compassion. When he wants to give up fighting in the battlefield, it should not be taken as a coward. Actually, he's compassionate. So it's to see from multiple angles. It is not to say that this is to be undermined. When we are focusing on Mother Devaki's section, at that time we can definitely elaborate much more on what it means to celebrate Janmashtami. Hare Krishna. Is that okay, Prabhu, or you wanted to add more? Yeah. But this is Prabhupada's words, and as I said, it's at different perspectives, different angles can be seen.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Please accept my dandavat. Very beautifully you have explained. So, and I don't disagree with the question that was also put. It was not a question, in a different way. Also, we need to understand, as rightly Prabhuji is saying, the place, temple where the discourse of Srimad Bhagavatam happens, it is to enlighten from all the prospects. Yeah, that is one thing. And then to enlighten what Lord wants from an ordinary person. Yeah, as rightly you're saying that this particular section is about Kunti's prayer, a devotee's prayer. As rightly Prabhuji is saying, how can you say the statement that Devaki went through? Agreed, Prabhuji. One time death is finished, gone. It's a loss. She understood very well that 6 times she has lost her children and they're gone. Yeah. Sorry? No. I'm saying.
Well, it is basically to see from different perspectives.
Yeah, different perspectives.
And the statement which I also made, that is also from Prabhupada. It is not my statement.
You're right. You're absolutely
right. It is from the teachings of Queen Kunti, where
Yeah.
Prabhupada explains that Devaki was favored once, otherwise she was well.
Yeah.
This is not coined from my mental concoction.
No, Prabhuji, I'm not against with your statement. I'm saying, if you see from Kunti point of view, how many times she has gone through looking at the right of the children were taken back again and again. She was dying every minute, every second. Every minute, every second she was dying and she was remembering Narayan. Yeah. No.
See, Mataji,
dilemma is same.
Mataji,
Dilemma is same.
Mataji.
No. So we need to learn. We need to learn.
Mother Devaki went through her difficulties.
Yes.
Mother Kunti went through her difficulties.
Yes.
Let's not make our lives more difficult.
So we need to learn from this, isn't it? We need to learn how we have to be in devotion.
That's why I began with saying,
yeah.
Mother Kunti, when we are on the ground floor, and you see 20th floor and you see 22nd floor. I use the particular numbers. From ground floor, 20 and 22nd is same. It's like, it's too high.
True.
If within their gradations, yes, there is technical differences are there, 20 and 22. That means when we rise above, when we are on that platform to understand what they are going through, it takes great courage and heart to go through the prayers that let there be calamities again and again. It is not something to be repeated. It is not something to be just parroted.
So it's not easy for devotees.
It is not easy.
It's standing in as an example. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
It's an example how we have to be in our devotion to get to that parameter. That's
at the same time, just to highlight this is the topmost, one doesn't have to undermine just because 22nd is higher.
True.
One also should not. The other aspect we discuss is sensitivity. Just because we are trying to say 22nd is better than 20th,
True.
does not mean that we should undermine 20th.
True.
Because if somebody is in 22nd, 20th should be respected. If somebody is in 20th, 22nd should be looked with awe and
Yeah,
reverence.
we have to accordingly go to
Yes.
progress. Yes.
And there should not be unnecessarily disrespect.
Yeah.
Just 20s. I mean, it's like sometimes devotees unfortunately fight. Goloka is better than Vaikuntha. No, probably we may not have the caliber to even reach Vaikuntha, to reach even heavenly planets. But we sometimes have a debate. Goloka is better than Vaikuntha.
We cannot disagree
So,
with Prabhupada.
Definitely. So
Yes.
that's why we are highlighting both
True.
both aspect.
True.
Both aspect is
Yes.
there.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Hare Krishna. Prabhu, you can. Yes, Prabhu. I think in the interest of time and for the audience, I am available for some time to discuss. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, sorry to interrupt.
Srila
because there is
Prabhupada
one more
ki
meeting.
jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much.
Hare Krishna. So I'll just give a quick introduction for those who do not know Prabhuji. So His Grace Shankar Pandit Prabhu completed his BE in Computer Science from Bharati Vidyapit, Pune. While he was doing his graduation studies, he was inspired and happy to be part of the Voice. We know this is a group for the youths. And Prabhuji, from a material job perspective, Prabhuji has spent a considerable time in almost 4 years in Bangalore. He was working for Fidelity. Then he was also traveled abroad to Norway for some company work, official work, and also he had been to Ireland for the client college TCD. Prabhuji has gone through an immense study of Bhagavad Gita and holds a degree course to corroborate same with the title of Bhakti Shastri. It is coupled with certificate courses on ombudsman, mediation, conflict resolution, and many other spiritual literatures. And being part of the ISKCON Pune community, Prabhuji is involved in various services like service board, marriage board, counseling, kitchen related services, DT related services, and events management. And Prabhuji today is accompanied with his good wife, Her Grace Yugal Priya Mataji. Mataji also has completed a BCom from Sydenham College of Commerce in Mumbai, followed by a diploma in business finance in the following years. And together with Prabhuji, Mataji has been actively involved in ISKCON Marriage Board Services of Pune. Mataji also has gone through immense study of Bhagavad Gita and also holds the degree of course of Bhakti Shastri. Together, from a services perspective, from Mataji does weekly discourses thrice a week on scriptures for Matajis, holistic care and cultivation for ladies since more than a decade. She's also conducting annual girls camp since almost 14 years. Mataji is also involved in Girls' Voice, DT related services, counseling families, and ISKCON events management. So let us all thank and request Prabhuji and Mataji to please visit us frequently and give us such wonderful classes. So let us all thank from the bottom of our heart and express gratitude by loudly chanting once Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Do we have any newcomers who have come for the first time to the temple? Mataji is there. Hare Krishna. So, Mataji, there is any newcomers? Prabhu also is there. Oh, Hare Krishna, they come specially from Dubai. We have 3 youngsters here, 3 boys here who came for darshan, but they attended the full class. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna. So let us all, as an encouragement, chant once Hare Krishna Mahamantra with his boys. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We have 2 prasadam sponsors today. We have Ashish Prabhu, who's from ISKCON Karwar, and we have Aradhana Mishra Mataji. Is Mataji here? Aradhana Mataji is here. So Prabhu is connected to ISKCON Karwar, also visits, keeps connected to ICC also. Mataji is from ISKCON Faridabad. So both have tied the knot on 18th Jan. And they sponsor the Prashadam today and requesting blessings from this congregation. So let us all chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra for the spiritual benefit of this wonderful souls. Hare Krishna. And we have BJ Shekhar Prabhu, who has sponsored Prashadam today. It is in the remembrance of his mother on the occasion of the first death anniversary, which was on 2020. Which is today. So Prabhu is also seeking prayers so that the soul also gets a higher destination. So let us all chant once Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Recently, we had conducted the IDC course. Some of the devotees had taken part in the IDC course. So we'd like to offer the certificates to those devotees who are present from the hands of Shankar Pandit Prabhu. And also, after this certificate issuing, we request all the devotees to kindly be present. We'll chant one round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, praying for the quick recovery of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. Maharaj health is little down, so seeking the blessings of the Lordships. So we'll be chanting one round of Mahamantra. So I'll call out the devotees' names. So if they are there, kindly come forward and collect the certificates. Vishnu Ram Prabhu. Next, Vasu Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Nagamani Mataji.
Rama, Rama,
Madhusmita Mataji.
Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Vishnuvardhan Prabhu.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Vanishri Mataji.
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Saraswati Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Chaitanya Chandra Prabhu.
Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Apanna Kameshwari Mataji.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Gnaneshwari
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Uttara Subramanyam Mataji.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Rukmini Mataji.
Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Sridevi Mataji.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you. So now we'll be chanting one round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, praying for the quick recovery of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. I request all the devotees who are kindly outside, they are also to come inside. Somebody can request them to come inside. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna.